The Genuine Article. Discussion and commentary based on articles from JACC.
Hello, I'm Tony DeMaria, the editor of JACC, and I'm here this morning with the opportunity to talk to Dr. Andrew Plump. And Dr. Plump is the head of worldwide basic research at Merck, and he's just written an excellent article for JACC that deals with genomics and cardiovascular drug development. Perhaps you can set the stage for us, Dr. Plump, in terms of what are the major factors that you see that have brought genetics and genomics into such prominence in drug development?
Certainly. There is a need for novel medications for cardiovascular diseases, really spanning from bench to bedside. And it's the innovation that will be driven from genomics that will allow us to identify novel targets for medicines, develop novel biomarkers, and also ultimately start to segmentalize patient populations.
Yeah, so there really is a need to identify targets to be explored for therapeutic agents. How does genetics and genomics help us in that regard?
Well, it's the level of validation that one can achieve relative to a given target. What I mean by that is that there are tremendous risks that one takes when one attempts to make a novel drug, and there are many failures along the way. We and others have found that many of these failures are due to inadequate efficacy. Having the level of validation that comes from human genetics or other forms of genomics can help to get you over that threshold and give you a target that has a higher probability of success.
Sure. And I guess when most of us think of genetics and genomics, we think of the ability to select patients who will have appropriate response to various therapeutic agents. I guess the warfarin story is the most exciting one there. Is that an area that you think is very important?
Oh, absolutely. I think the warfarin example, as you mentioned, is a really wonderful one. We'll have to watch to see what comes of that regarding clinical practices. This is clearly going to be in a future area of massive attention. And I guess the one point that I'd like to stress and that we highlight in the article is that it's really not personalized medicine per se. What we're trying to attempt is truly segmentalized medicine.
Now, what exactly do you mean by segmentalized medicine?
So the term refers to not our thinking about an individual and how he or she might respond to a drug, rather taking a disease, and for most cardiovascular diseases we're talking about a tremendous amount of heterogeneity, and breaking it into modules or segments, and then treating those segments, not the entire disease, not the individual patient.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess to move forward in this, biobanks are going to be critically important. Can you tell us a little bit about the biobanks that are developing worldwide?
Absolutely. So firstly, just let me acknowledge that it's the efforts that are driven out of the private community, out of governments, out of industry academic relationships that are putting together these large biobanks are absolutely critical. Garbage in, garbage out. In order for genomics to really add value, you have to have access to cohort samples, and that's essentially what these biobanks are. Specifically to your question, there are a number of activities that are going on really across the globe. In Europe, in England in particular, there's a massive effort to bring together 500,000 people into a biobank. There's also one other that I'll mention that's ongoing here in the United States. It's something called the High Risk Plaque Alliance, which is attempting to bring together a slightly smaller but much more well-annotated biobank.
Yeah, well, phenotyping, of course, will be critical in this regard. Clearly, genetics and genomics are going to play a critical role in developing drugs. We certainly could use more drugs, as you point out in the article. Since the development of the statins in 1987, there's really only been 4 new drugs in the 16 classes of drugs. So we'll look to efforts from people like yourself and your colleagues to bring us new effective pharmacologic agents. For the Genuine article, I'm Tony DeMaria.